Hot Rods and Hills really started 8 years ago, really to put a hot rod event on up in Cumbria, sort of the northern area, and up into Scotland. It's basically for car enthusiasts who's into hot rods, American muscle cars, classic Americans, that sort of thing, just to get out really up here, have a chilled out weekend driving the cars.
And obviously you've got people coming from all over the country. And
yeah, as far down as Portsmouth and as far up as Aberdeen, Inverness, up into Scotland.
Car we've had for 4 years. It's a 1930 Ford Model A. Came into the UK in year 2000 approximately. It was hot rodded in the States in 1962 and it came across here in parts and reassembled. Then I'm the third owner from when that happened. Paint jobs year 2000.
So is there any sort of recent jobs you've done to the vehicle? What's the last thing you started done to it?
The vehicle has been dead reliable after the first sort of 6 to 8 months on the road. We found a lot of teething problems, but it's 350 Chevy, 350 gearbox and an 8-inch Ford rear, and now the teething problems are gone. We can pretty much just jump in it and go where we want to go.
So what kind of sort of brake horsepower do you think she's put?
It should be around the 350. I've never dynoed it or whatever, but it's the Z28 Camaro engine, which is around the 300 mark, and there's a couple extra mods done with it, so different headers and carb and
so
whatnot.
In terms of sort of sitting on the motorway, what should we sit on the motorway, 50, 60, just cruise away?
No, sort of 70, 80.
Really? No,
yeah. We've been down to the Supernuts. That's the furthest one we've done. For us was 480 mile each way. It does 22 to the gallon. Have a try. Usually get a lot less than that.
Yeah. My name's David. This is my car. It's started life as a 1972 Pontiac Le Mans. It's got a 1970 GTO nose clip on it. Bought it in 1987 for £200. Give you an idea how bad it was when I bought it. It was on its way to scrap yard. Took it for an MOT and it passed its MOT first time. Although the body looked rough, it was basically solid underneath. Drove about that for a while, painted it red, and then took it off the road for I blew the engine up. That's why it came off the road. Took off the road for an engine rebuild, and it took me 19 years to get back on the road again. And then ended up how you see it today. It's basically a ground up rebuild, every nut and bolt. Took it too far, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Is that a standard colour? That's a standard Ford?
It's a standard Ford colour. It's just a colour I always liked. Porsche do a very similar colour, which is the colour I was going to go for, which is Porsche peppermint green, but I couldn't get that in an enamel for doing underneath, so Ford was the closest thing.
Awesome. So in terms of engine brake horsepower, what do you think it's?
It's actually got the wrong engine just now. It's on a borrowed engine. I'm getting a Pontiac block built for it now. Get a 400 stroked to 455. That's hopefully going in this winter. So it's running a Chevy engine just now. But it's a good reliable engine. It's not had a lot done here. It's just
that's right.
Cruiser. Yeah.
Excellent.
The interior is actually the original interior of the car, but just painted. It was dark green. When I put it back in, it just looked a bit dated. So I decided to try doing it myself. So basically spray painted it cream and turned out remarkably well. It's lasted 8 years now. So.
The car's a Ford 1956 F100, but it's got a full 1987 Corvette running gear underneath, so it's fully independent suspension with a V8 TPI in it and a 4-speed automatic gearbox. But the car drives lovely. It drives like a car actually rather than a pickup because it's nice and low, and the suspension, everything helps it all out. It's quite reasonable in fuel consumption. Reasonable being late teens, near 20 mile a gallon. But as in work I've done in the car, I've done a lot of tidying up bits and pieces, just tidying other people's work up until the gearbox blew up last year, and then I had to have the gearbox rebuilt. but that's quite expensive because it's £1,300, and that was me taking it out, me putting it in, and doing all the donkey work, and somebody else doing the costly bits. So but I enjoy driving it. I drive it quite a lot. I've got a motorcycle as well, and this vehicle actually helps me keep my licence, believe it or not. It's just because it's just a passion. It's a nice old thing to drive about, and I'm quite interested in it, as in because I rebuild vintage cars for a living. So it's part and parcel of the job, never had to lose with it.
What's the name of your business?
Business is called Classic Restoration Scotland Limited. It's a small place in Alyth in Scotland, and it's just a small team of workers, but we're all multi-skilled in all different jobs, so it works away. Goes from coach building right through to the body work, right, paint work, right through to mechanical till the finished item.
Okay, so basically it's a 1932 Ford. It's a roadster, but it's a Dearborn style roadster, which has a canopy that pops up from behind the seat and allows it to have like a roof. Plus it's got electric windows that come up. So it's a bit more advanced than a standard roadster, especially if the weather's really bad. I've had the car about 20 years. It didn't look like this when I originally got it. It had no interior, no wiring really. It had actually house wiring in it. But the bottom line was that I had to go through it and just strip it down and start from scratch. I originally had a 3.5 Rover V8, which I took out, and I've put in a 5.7 Chevy engine in it. So it's basically been a labour of love, but worked over the years, got it to where it is today. A lot of custom work we put into it, a lot of thought we put into the colours, the interiors. Pretty much that's where I'm up to.
Brilliant. Is there any sort of work you've done to it recently? Any sort of recent jobs?
Yeah, pretty much the whole car's been repainted. The reason being is because I had an accident which damaged this section here, and the type of paint that it is meant that you can't paint a panel. You have to paint the whole car. It's the only options, because if you paint the panel, it can be a different colour the way it's done because it's a candy paint. So I spoke to a chap I know who's been doing it for 30 odd years.
What's his name?
Bob Falconer.
Right.
He's the guy who did the mural. He's a custom builder, painter, etc. So we went through it, he repainted the car, and then we decided we were going to put some flames on it. So we then had to discuss what kind of flame I would like, and I wanted it really subtle so it was almost invisible, but when you stand close enough you can see that they're actually there. And that's basically what we've achieved, so I'm really pleased with it.
My name's Pete Edwards. This is a 1935 Ford Coupe. I've owned it for about 8 or 9 years. Basically it goes everywhere, does everything it needs to do, never caused me any bother.
What's the sort of latest? Have you done anything mechanically on it yourself? Or?
No, it was built by homegrown hot rods by a guy called John Golding about 10, 11 years ago. I've known the car since about 1981 when it was first imported. A guy called Stuart Story used to own it. He had it for 25 years, finally had it rebuilt, never drove it, heard it was for sale, had to have it.
So what engine is it based on?
It's 350 Chevy, 5.7 litre, Ford axles, all steel original 1935 body. History, allegedly it was used for drag racing in the States, but I don't know for sure. Seems a very heavy car to race, but then again, I don't know.
Does it feel as though it has been,
Well, not now because it's completely rebuilt. So
gearbox is more or less standard, and
it's a Chevy 700R4 4-speed automatic. So it's everything. All the running gear is new. It was all built about 10 or 11 years ago.